All right. We are officially recording. Already messed up. Texas Rugby Referee Association. We're going to go over lineouts and mauls this evening. So just the touch law. Quick throws and lineouts are methods of restarting the game with a throw after the ball or ball carrier has gone into touch. Easy. Talking about in touch, if you are an assistant referee or a referee, take your time looking at that touch line and just, before you throw your flag up, just make sure that that player has stepped into touch. If you are a center referee and you're just working with team touch judges, this is something that you can let them know before the match. You can always pull them aside, be like, hey, who's my touch judge today? Just make sure, look at the line. If the ball or the person carrying the ball steps on that line or over that line, put your flag up, yell touch. Second part's super helpful, especially if you don't have radios, because they might put the flag up a little late and then you've already turned and started running away, and then they're standing there with the flag up just like, oh, I guess we're playing on. But take that extra second, make sure that that player hasn't gotten a last second pass away or what, and make sure that they are in touch. Be confident and back yourself. If you're going to say someone stepped into touch, don't shuffle the flag and be like, oh, just kidding. And also back yourself on who's taking it into touch. If you are unsure, the team is going to take advantage of that and be like, no, it was this person, it was this, it was this, it was this. Make a decision. No, I've got black stepped into touch. It's going to be a gold line out. And everyone will just, go with it. Knock on into touch. If you've got a player knocking the ball close to the touch line, wait a second before blowing your whistle. Kind of like we were talking about with advantage, you kind of acknowledge that it's happened. Wait a second to see what's going to happen, because if that knock on goes into touch, there's an option to the other team whether they'd like the scrum or the line out. And depending where you are on the field, it's different attacking platforms. So they could very well rather take the line out. And if you blow the whistle the second a player knocks the ball on, you're not allowing it to go to the touch line. So you're limiting their options to just a scrum. So any questions about that? All right. Just to play around with touch, we're going to look at this video. So imagine that you are the touch judge, AR, and this happens. All right, you've all seen it once. Can someone tell me touch or not touch?
Not touch.
Why, Kev?
Because he never took possession of the player that knocked the ball back into the play. Never took possession of the ball.
Okay.
And I don't think, from that angle, it didn't look like the ball had already crossed the touch line.
Ooh, Kev knows his touch laws. Anybody else have anything different? So it happens really quickly, right? And you're just like, then you're trying to recall all of your touch laws, this and that. Sean Martin is my AR here. I went over to him because I also thought, I was like, man, I don't think that crossed the touch line, the plane of touch. And I know that the black player was in touch. So I asked him if it crossed the plane, and he said yes. So it's crossed the plane of touch. It's touched by a player in touch. So the ball's in touch. If it had not crossed the plane, it would have been play on. But that's a massive call when you think about it. If you're looking at where that ball was going to go, that white player very well could pick it up and score a try. So it happens in an instant, and it could be a massive decision. So know your touch laws. Anyone want to see it again? Okay, I'll show it again because nobody wants to see it again. So right there, ball's crossed the plane of touch. It's touched by a player in touch. But it does go backwards, so if it hadn't crossed the plane, it would have been play on. Exciting, dodgy stuff. All right. So quick throw versus quick line out. Quick throw you are probably more accustomed to seeing. Quick line out happens very rarely. There is one team in Texas, ironically enough, that enjoys the quick line out. So I did get a clip of that. Quick throw must be at or behind the line of touch. The line of touch is where the line out is going to be. So if it's kicked from outside the 22 on the full, it's in line with where it was kicked. If it's kicked inside the 22, it's in line with the ball went out. So the quick throw has to be at or behind it. The ball can't have been touched by anyone other than the player taking it into touch. So especially you'll see a teammate pass it to somebody on his team who will throw it. That eliminates the quick throw. So you're just going to have a line out. There. If you're in doubt, just set up the line out. Don't be afraid to take away that quick throw because you think it might have been touched. You're not really sure. Just set up the line out. No one's ever really going to get you in trouble for that. I mean, they might be mad, but they're always mad about something, so whatever. Quick throw and then quick line out. It's the equivalent of a line out. So the line out can be set. The defensive team can still be setting up. And as long as the throw is straight, just like a regular line out, and it's taken at the line of touch and it has to go 5 down the tunnel, that's a quick line out. So the attacking team is set up and they're doing everything right. The only thing you want to note here is the defensive team doesn't have time to match. So you're not going to penalize them for not matching. And that's kind of the key here is because they are taken on the back foot. They don't have any time to match. You can't, if a team goes a quick throw into a line out, like a quick line out, and then they're like, they're not matching numbers. They have too many. It's like, that's not their fault. You decided to take it quickly. So let's look at my clips for this. So first, we've got the quick throw. Ball's gone into touch. Black's the only player that's touched it. He throws it 5. Lineout's not set. We just play on. That's usually an opportunity. You'll see it when the team that just kicked the ball is slow coming up. So excellent use of the quick throw here. Post that quick line out. So player's gone into touch. We're at the line of touch. Your hookers pick the ball up, throws it, enters the tunnel straight enough. We're not going to kill me on this here. So you've got people marking that line, 2 players past the 5 on the line of touch. So the line out has formed, in which case this player comes from an onside position and is totally legal to make that tackle. Any questions about a quick line out? The Austin Blacks like to do it, in case you were wondering. See this 20 here? is very upset that that player got wrecked. That's what happens when you decide to throw the ball quickly. Excellent. Okay. Lineout setup. All this is written. I'm actually just going to go to the clip and I'll explain it at the clip. Gold. All right. So you've got a line out here. You've got this team's throwing the ball in. So this team's your defending team. Who is required at this line out? Calling on the audience here. Oops. Who has to be at this line out?
Thrower and the person
The thrower?
marking the thrower.
The thrower and the person marking the thrower. You got to have somebody throwing the ball into the line out, which means the defense has to have somebody 2 meters from the 5 and 2 meters from the line of touch. This is more than 2, but I'm not that concerned about exact measurements. Those 2 individuals have to be at the line out. Who else?
At least 2 players on each team.
At least 2 players on each team. Yes. Defense has 2, more than 2. Attack has at least 2. Awesome. And you often hear players calling like mark, 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 mark. In order to officially mark a line out, 4 players must be between this 15 and this 5 at the line of touch. Otherwise, it's not marked. So you've got that guy who gets into the person who wants to take a quick throw, gets into his face over the 5 and is yelling mark. He's just stupid. He's not doing anything. Who else has to be at the line out? Besides the 2 people from either side, the person marking the hooker and the hooker, or the thrower, person marking the thrower.
They have the option of a receiver, but that's not necessarily has to be there.
Boom. Excellent. Nobody else has to be at this lineup. Has to be. So often teams will have a receiver, and that's great. You're always allowed to have a receiver, but you don't have to. Also note that if the attacking team doesn't have a receiver, the defensive team can still have a receiver. It does not count to numbers in the lineout. So the attacking team can have 2 players on the line of touch in the lineout and the thrower, and the defensive team can have the person marking the thrower, 2 players on the line of touch, and a receiver. Cool?
Kat, can the receiver join the lineout once the ball is in the air, but not prior to the throw?
Yes, and I have a clip for that. Yes. So this receiver cannot move from the receiver position except to retire to the offside line, which is 10 meters back from the line of touch. They cannot do anything until the ball is thrown or if they swap out. And I have clips for both of those that I'll go over. And then the defensive line out can have as many as the attack does, but not more. I think everyone knows that. Numbers in the line out. Cool. Does everyone understand line out setup?
Yeah, got it.
Yay, thanks, Becca. It's key to set up your line out well. You want to have a big gap, and I think we talked about this when we did setting standards webinar. You just want to have a nice big gap, make sure you've got everything right, and that's just going to set you up for success. If you let them close the gap or kind of shuffle numbers, you're just going to make it more confusing for yourself by the end of the match. So, cool. Lineouts. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. All right. So, that's your lineout set out. Excellent. During a lineout, players can move around, but they can't move through the tunnel. So they can't run straight through the tunnel in order to switch with the player at the back. The receiver may switch with any player before the ball is thrown. So switch. So that means that player comes out and enters the receiver position, and then the receiver may enter after the ball is thrown. And I've got some fun illegal play for you guys. So this first clip is the receiver switching. So right here, you've got a jumper in the receiver spot. She goes in, and the receiver comes out. So this is done.
It's a rugby game, right? You have to.
Almost instantaneously, but the receiver, someone's back in the receiver position before that ball is thrown. Cool? Cool. And then receiver entering. So once the ball is thrown, the receiver can enter the line out, as you'll see this 2 does here. So that 2 is in your receiver spot. The second that ball is thrown in the air, he is allowed to join that line out, as he does. Cool. Excellent. Any questions on that? That guy still has to stay there. Always marking the hawker. All right. Let's look at some illegal play in the lineout. Early jump. So this is, you're going to be looking at this from the defensive team. An early jump. Look, there's a lot of ways to deal with this. So that 8 clearly goes up before the ball is thrown. And here it's material because he gets the ball. Now, who knows what the sanction for that is? Anyone?
Isn't it a free kick?
Free kick.
It is a free kick, yes. Awesome. So it would be a free kick. Depends where you are in the match. If you're early in the match, you can manage it. Just reset your lineup. Be like, boop, boop, boop. Nope. I'm not going to have you jump early. And then you can also say something to the attack and be like, I'm not going to have you do something else. Everyone's happier when both teams get talked to. And then if it's not material, like if the 8 goes up and the ball clearly hasn't been thrown, you say blue 8 down, and likely the team isn't going to get another jumper up in time. So the white team's going to win the ball and it won't really be material. So you can play through it. Cool. Early jump. I should play all these twice. Awesome. Jump. Going down.
Katie Augustine.
So you see blue pulls down the jumper in the air there. Dangerous play.
Katie Augustine.
easy penalty. Sometimes difficult to see, but she clearly gets that arm in and pulls her straight to the ground.
With her.
Good penalty. Got to keep the players safe. Closing the gap. So you've done everything you're supposed to do. You create a nice big gap at your line out. Excellent. Here's a nice big gap. Red's like, awesome, happy days. And black totally takes that gap away. So you can see that, you know, black kind of steps in the first time they're doing a dummy throw. And then by this point, there's just no gap left. And then black wins the line out illegally because they've closed the gap. So, any questions on that? Just terrible. Just terrible. All right, and then jumping across. So this is the black team you're going to look at. The lifters are responsible for bringing the jumper down. So as you'll see in this clip, they just really throw their player across the gap, and he gets that line out. So put him up. This guy, he's totally being thrown across the gap. The back lifter is no longer holding on to him at all. I'm sure he lands safely, but the reason they stole that line out is because he was thrown across the gap. So, any questions on that? Illegal stuff at lineouts. Everybody loves a lineout. Cool. All right, that's all we're going to talk about lineouts. We're going to talk about some lineout, Maul from lineout stuff. So if you have Maul from lineout questions, those will be addressed in the next section. But does anyone have any questions specifically about lineouts, touch, quick lineouts, what have you? Bueller?
I do.
Yes.
I have like a problem with people wanting to just like stroll into the line out and not actually set numbers at all. And I feel like I'm like herding cats trying to get it to actually happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of us have that issue, actually.
Yeah.
I have that issue too. So if the attacking team can't announce numbers or figure out a way to tell the other team the numbers, you can stop them from walking in. Be like, I'm not going to let you walk in because you can't give us a set amount of numbers. And if they do it, you can free kick them, like after you've warned them. Be like, look, if you want to pause and then walk into the line out, the defensive team has got to know how many numbers. And then another thing on top of that is that the attacking team must pause before they go up. So I actually can probably find a clip of that on one of my matches. So
Bad Brad puts it down.
So kind of like this situation, you've got two players setting that gap.
Where they're just like sort of in, sort of out, and I don't know who's trying to do what.
Yeah, I would just put it on the gold team right here and be like, look, you've got to announce how many numbers you have. I'm not going to chase you down for it every time. Usually teams are pretty good at communicating with each other. They're like, hey, we've got 5. A quick shout, how many? But if they're not going to tell you the numbers and they're going to drop people late and stuff, just free kick them. Be like, you can't do that. But then when they do walk, they have to pause before going up. So they walk in and don't pause. That's a not pause. That's a bad job by the referee, in case you're wondering. But they do pause.
Teams.
Probably
Very generally.
another one. So they're out here. They've already announced their numbers. So black knows. They come in. There's a clear pause. Everyone's set.
School program as well.
And then they go up.
If they don't pause, would that be a free kick?
Yeah, you probably want to reset the first one. A lot of these line out infringements, you can kind of be like, reset, don't do that. And if they do it again, then free kick them because you've warned them. I think it's fair. If you've warned them, though, yeah, man. A free kick's a nice little slap on the wrist. Be like, no, that's wrong.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question, Becca, though?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Why not? All right. Let's get into Maul's burning house, eh? God, love the Maul. All right. The Maul, purpose of the Maul is to allow players to compete for the ball, which is off the ground. Remember this. Okay, forming a Maul, this is taken out of your law book. Except for, yada yada, can only take place in the field of play. Ball carrier, at least one player from each team, bound together, all on their feet. Must move towards a goal line. My advice here is be patient in announcing Maul, because once you call something a Maul, you've got a lot of new laws that come around there. If you wait a second to really see what you're dealing with, if they're going to get tackled immediately, what have you, then you can decide, am I really dealing with a Maul situation or am I just dealing with a tackle? And so I have a clip for this. I took it on my phone from my TV. So sorry, I'm not that good at technology. So players kind of held up. The referee in this situation calls it a Maul, but I mean, you can see it hasn't really gone very far. And he's barely held up off the ground. It moves maybe half a meter and then it's on the ground again. This would be a much easier situation to call a tackle and then get black to release and move away. The way that the MLR and D1A is being coached on how to referee a Maul is the defense has to actually stop the momentum and keep it up in order to be rewarded for it to be a Maul. Because if this is a Maul, ball's unplayable, it's now a turnover to black. And did black really do enough in this situation to get a scrum for that turnover? Blue has the ball and now black gets a scrum. Did they really do enough to get that scrum by holding up the ball carrier and his teammates in the drive, stop the drive, etc.? That is a wild theory. Is everyone on board with that? Kind of get what I'm saying? Hopefully.
Yep.
I'm going to accept all your silences, yes. So. Cool. Totally just be patient in announcing that you've got a Maul. Take that deep breath, be like, oh, cool, it's just a tackle. Yeah, release. Because so much easier. Oh, I want to stay up on this. All right, Mauls from a line out. The attack can do things wrong. The defense can do things wrong. The back line has to be kept to a certain place. So this is kind of my checklist when I'm looking at a maul forming from a line out. So first thing, I'm looking at the attack. I'm making sure that the lifters aren't dropping the ball carrier behind them and creating an obstruction situation. Secondly, making sure that defense is making contact with the ball, I should say ball carrier. The defense is making contact with the ball carrier before it's passed back. Sometimes it can be difficult because that ball carrier, the jumper in the lineout holds the ball out and they all kind of form around them. Benefit of the doubt, unless you've seen it clearly pass back, the person at the front still has hands on it. Then you've got to make sure the back line kept an offside line until the last foot, that's not what I meant to do. The last foot of the maul crosses the line of touch. Wow, so many errors in this, sorry. Line of touch, which is where the line out was. Then defense must come through the maul, not around. Players must join from the hindmost foot. It's a lot of stuff. Key here as a referee, work hard to find the ball and manage your defensive players. A maul is a very difficult thing to stop legally, which is why teams should do it. It's very, very hard to legally stop. So you want to work hard to make sure you have eyes on that ball and you're identifying the defensive players that are trying to disrupt the maul. All right. Look at that clip. In case anyone's wondering why a lot of these are me refereeing, it's because I can clip my own things. So that's why it's mostly me, sorry. All right, so we got a line out. Skip forward, blah, blah. Formation of the line out. First key should be we're attacking right outside the 22. The attacking team has the ball anywhere really inside the 22 or just outside. I'm thinking that they're going to want to maul it. So you want to be prepared for a maul situation. Contact is made with the person who catches the ball. So you know your lifters haven't gone in front of him because black is able to directly make contact with him. So he comes straight down, black makes contact. All your white players are joining from the hindmost foot. All your black players are joining from the hindmost foot. Awesome. It's moving towards a goal line. Your players that are on the find themselves on the wrong side are exiting. Your back line was held back until it's coming out. Great, great. There's the ball. So, watch it all together now. Hold those back line players back. Okay, it's good. It's crossed the line of touch. Also just noticed a random ball got kicked onto the field. That was weird. All right, so cool. A lot of stuff at the mall, right? And then you can talk about all the illegal stuff that can happen. So that's the gist of forming a maul from a line out. Now I'm going to give you a clue here. If it looks like a maul and everybody thinks it's a maul and everyone's acting like it's a maul, just go with it. The last thing you want to do is like look way into this presentation and be like, this is super pedantic, and make a really pedantic call at the maul and everyone's like, we could have just gone through that. So go with the flow. If everyone thinks it's a maul, it's probably a maul. All right, let's look at some illegal defensive play. All right, this first one is one of my biggest pet peeves. If you take anything out of this presentation, I kid you not, please go out there and do this. You got a team comes up to you, says, "Sir, we're not going to contest at the mall." They think they're really smart. They're not. This needs to be a penalty against white. All day long, they're leaving the line out. The line out's here. It says it in the law book. A player cannot leave the line out until the line out is over. Sanction penalty. They are leaving the line out. Does anyone have any questions about this? Because this, I understand that this used to be interpreted differently.
Can you show that again?
Yes, absolutely. I would love to. So teams are going to want the obstruction call here. Like, sir, it's obstruction. First thing that happened is they left the line out. You can't leave the line out. We don't want to reward a team for not playing rugby. So white's decided, I don't want to play rugby today. I want to like fine print my way to a national championship, I guess is the theory. I mean, that's not going to work. You're going to reward the team that's playing rugby. So
is there a way for them to not engage that maul without leaving the line out?
yes, there is. They can have two players in the line out, one at the 5 meter and one at the 15 meter, and literally have nobody in that gap. Because no player can there, and you always hear players like, I'm gonna move to the side. We're not gonna leave, we're gonna move to the side. No, you can't do that fast enough. So unless they only put like two people in and they're at the front and the back, or if they're both at the back and there's literally no people in the way of that maul, that is a successful way they cannot engage the maul. It's stupid because the team's just going to take the ball down and run with it because there's no defense there. But technically, that is the only way they can do that.
Okay, awesome.
Give it to me. Give it to me, guys. I want these questions. Because I want this ironed out. This is like my personal pet peeve.
Yeah, Kat, I don't quite get that. So you're saying anybody who's in the mall, anybody who's in the lineup must engage in the mall? Is that what you're just saying?
I'm saying they can't leave the line out. And
yeah, but they can definitely step to the side and not engage in players with players.
So you're saying that right this second, all these players are going to manage to push their teammates out of the way, shuffling sidestep. I've never seen it happen.
Right, but they're not engaging. They're not binding in.
They're
not
leaving,
stepping,
exactly.
right?
They're leaving the line out. That's your penalty. They're leaving the line out. I mean,
they can go horizontally.
But to do that, they have to push all these guys that way in the matter of the 2 seconds it takes for this to start moving forward. And they almost always step out and around to try to get out of the way of that moving maul.
But the argument would be the ball came down before it's transferred back, these guys aren't able to get out of the way. So either you have a flying wedge or an obstruction.
I think green's binding in front of the
engage.
ball carrier anyways.
Either way, in this case, white's still leaving the line out. So it really doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, so, I mean, here's the thing, is green is actively trying to play rugby. And white is trying to manipulate the system in order to get a penalty. I mean, player comes down. I'm with you, Danny, on this guy might be stepping in front, sure. But here's the thing, is it's not material because white doesn't engage. So right now you've got an immaterial infringement. That ball carrier, the jumper, is still holding on to the ball. White says white hasn't engaged, so there's no obstruction, and then white leaves the line out. So the first material infringement is white's leaving the line out.
White leaving the line out is again a free kick.
It's a penalty, actually. It's offsides. Offside.
Hey, Kat, just out of curiosity, is the Maul enacted when they actually physically make contact, or does white actually have to engage?
Yeah, white has to engage for it to be a maul.
So it has to be active on white's point, on white's part. They can't just get run into.
Yeah, I mean, they...
Right, there's a difference between engage and touch. You can't grab somebody and pull them into a maul.
I mean, you can, because now they're in contact over the ball. So
But the same way you can't pull somebody into a ruck, right? They have to be engaged, have to be bound in. No?
I mean, yes, but I'm totally like, I'm seeing your point. True, but you're starting to split hairs with really technical infractions to mask the fact that white does not want to play rugby. And they are leaving the line out to try to get a penalty for like a non-material thing, and green deserves to be rewarded. Because here's the thing, you need to get that out of the game. You got to teach white that they can't decide they're not playing rugby and get a free penalty. You penalize the team, they're going to engage in the maul next time. And because I have other things I want to go over, if you don't like my explanation, that's fine. But this is the way it's being refereed at the international levels. This is the way it's being refereed in the MLR. This is the way it's being refereed in the D1A, WPL, every performance league in the United States. And we'd be remiss if we did not referee it the same way. That fair?
Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I just want to see it from the other side.
I know.
Yeah.
I've done it.
I've got no problems with it. I was just curious.
That's what goes over the, if it looks like a maul, probably a maul. All right, collapsing. Can't collapse them
All blues.
Obviously. You got this, ball comes down, maul forms. 3, taking the maul down. Right there. You've already got the maul. It's definitely standing up. It's moving forward, and 3 blue is just pulling that maul down. So clear collapse. All right. Swimming. Swimming is a fun one. So you're looking at the white player, white 5 here. Got a maul, what pretty much looks like a maul, and white 5 isn't coming straight through. He's going around the side so he can try to get that ball at the back. A similar clip would be the clip we had of the Maul setup with the reds and the blacks. And you can see 2 black does a very similar infringement, but he steps out because he knows he's swimming up the side of the Maul. So he joins from the back. He's totally legal there. These players, they exit out. There, now he's coming around the side. He's coming around the side. He's trying to get at it from the side, understands what he's doing, exits out. Maul keeps moving forward. So if he then tackles more or less the player with the ball, penalize him for swimming up the side. If you're going to come through the Maul, you got to come straight through. Is that cool? Swimming. All right, side entry.
Hey, Kat, sorry. If somebody comes straight through the middle, what are they allowed to do?
They can take the ball. They can continue to drive on the ball carrier.
But they cannot wrap up the ball carrier, right?
Yeah, they can wrap up the ball carrier. They can rip the ball out. They can't tackle the ball carrier unless nobody else is bound onto them. If he drives straight through and then basically takes the ball carrier out, so he's not holding on to anyone, then he can tackle him. But yeah, he can just get the ball, wrap him up. Good question. All right. Side entry. Got a Maul. Great. We get a great angle of this one. 21 white. So he joins from in front of the last foot and he goes at it from the side.
Drive on.
Pretty clear and obvious there. Maul goes to the ground as well. A better referee than me could see who took it down, but definitely at least play advantage there because it's not that material, but it's still side entry. Sacking late, so the you can sack the jumper if they're trying to form a Maul. That's fine. As soon as that jumper hits the ground, the other lifter is allowed to tackle them. It's called sacking. You just want to make sure that that doesn't happen too late. So in this one, ball comes down, Maul's formed, and then white 2 decides that he's going to sack that jumper. Right, so you've got everyone set up. White 2's made contact with the ball carrier, and he just pulls him down a little too late. If he had done that as soon as the player had come down, so if he had sacked right now, when he makes contact, if he had sacked then, he would have been fine. But it's just a little too slow in this clip. Happy days. Happy days. Now, a legal play from the attack. The attack can do stuff wrong here. Everyone can do stuff wrong. It's a Maul. All right, so obstruction. So you can see that right there. the first pod
Definitely not over.
makes contact with the defenders, and the pass back is just too far. You see a visible gap and a disconnect between the pod that has the ball right here and the pod that's making contact with the defense. So that is a clear obstruction.
In the front by Simons.
Strong Maul.
Definitely penalty to the defense on that. They're participating, they're trying to stop the Maul, and they are prevented from getting at the ball because of obstruction.
I think this is what Drew was talking about earlier, or am I wrong?
So yes, but here's the thing, is it can't be obstruction if there's nobody bound on. Because then you're a potential for obstruction, but there is no obstruction because White left the line out. They have nobody there that can be obstructed.
No, I get that. I get that part. I just want a little clarity. That's all.
You're good. Sorry. I'm very, very passionate about this. I love it. Okay, and then entry ahead of ball carrier.
Have it back in for them.
So Gold's line out. They do their little. See, and even at this clip, as you can see,
They find Cronin.
they kind of futz around the whole, like, let's not go into the Maul, but then this player right here, smart one's like, no, we need to get into this Maul. So they all join, right? So at this point, could you call probably a million things? Yeah, but it looks like a Maul. We've basically got a Maul here, so we're going to referee this like a Maul. Moving forward, we'll look at 4 gold. So right there, you've got the ball back here with 3 golds.
Turning that Maul now. Try to.
4 joins in front. Becomes material because she's preventing that green player from getting at the ball. So we're looking at those Maul's moving forward. Everyone's fine. The action's of 4 gold. If she binds onto the back and the ball is passed back, she's fine. Because she binds onto the front, she is blocking that green ball carrier. Any questions about that?
Yeah, Kat, can we make a note that even if like a Maul's been formed and nobody's bound on, it's still a Maul?
Yeah, so once a Maul's been formed, if green decided to back away and unbind, it's still a Maul, so we're no longer at an obstruction. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you've got a Maul formed, green's formed into that Maul. If they decided, you know, back here,
Find Cronish in the back.
after they formed, if they all wanted to back out, gold could continue to move forward like this because a Maul had been formed, green was bound in, and there's no obstruction. Great point, Drew. Cool. All right. So that's really all I've got in the clips. The gist of this presentation is Mauls are super confusing and a lot of things can go wrong. Lineouts can be super pedantic, but if you set yourself up well, you should be fine. So line out, just know your touch laws because they'll come flying at you. Safety is the top priority, pulling down in the air, etc. Really got to stay on top of that. Just looking for players hooking their arm in the jumper's arm or yanking down before they hit the ground. And then you don't want to be pedantic. A lot of things you can manage just with a quick double whistle, reset, let the teams know your expectations. They'll appreciate that. Maul, if it looks like a Maul, it's probably a Maul. You don't want to be pedantic again at this area, but you do want to catch the big fish. So if you're in open play, give it a little time to breathe. You don't want to be announcing everything's a Maul just because you've got 3 players bound up. If the attack's still moving forward and it's kind of going to ground, maybe just call it a tackle and get out. A maul is very difficult to stop legally, which is why teams didn't want to join in the first place.
Hey, Kat.
Yeah.
Question.
Yeah.
And sorry, I've been talking a lot, but maybe it would help to go back to the first clip, but you don't have to go back clip at all. But it's specifically when we can release the back line.
When we can release
So
the back line.
I feel like that's a lot of confusion. So when we form them all, when can a back line join that offside line from the last foot?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a fantastic point. So your back line is back 10 meters from the line of touch. So you've got them. Ball comes down. Maul is formed. Arms up. Not really effectively on this referee because the back line's over here, but the back line listens. That's really nice. Maul's moving forward. They're still held back. They're still held back. Once the last foot of the person, any of the last person in this maul, so all these homies, that last foot has to cross the original line of touch that your line out was on. Terrible line. Sorry. So the last foot has to cross that line. Once that last foot crosses that line, or abouts, you don't have to be super pedantic, that back line can come up. So then back line can come up. Their new offside line is the last foot of the maul. So that's when you're looking at the black defender's last foot. That's their new offside line. Same with people around the maul. But yeah, if white's attacking here, you're really looking for when white's last foot crosses the line of touch, which is where you are having your line out. Good question, Drew. Cool. Anyone have anything else? I did get a comment from Brad Dulong. A lot of teams are still practicing that leave the line out thing. I understand. I've also been dealing with it because I've been doing a lot of Texas games. Let them know. They'll be like, hey, we're not going to contest at the line out. And you'll be like, I'm going to penalize you for leaving the line out if you don't contest and you step out. And I did that with the Huns a couple weeks back, and they were like, crap, okay, I guess we have to contest. If anyone wants to argue it with me, you can go to Richard Every and argue it with him. Just kidding. You can argue it with me. But yeah, that's that. Any other questions? Since I kept you here for an hour. Lineouts, mauls. Anyone? Feel free to email me, text me, call me. We can continue on this maul debate. I love malls. I hate malls, but they're here for a reason. All right, cool. I'll get this recording out. Thank you, everyone, for your time. I really appreciate it. And yeah, send me more ideas if you have ideas on what you would like to talk about in another meeting.